There was indeed the laying down of the smacketh on, this was this past Friday, August 26th. And I'm watching for the improvements, and we're seeing a couple of things, but I got to be honest with you. Did you see how this program started? And I know somebody's going to say Rey Mysterio, but the first thing you see on network TV at 8 o'clock at night on SmackDown is Ricochet headed to the ring. And maybe they need to put a mask on him. As a matter of fact, wasn't Ricochet
Lucha Underground?
Wasn't he also mentioned as the Mighty Mouse, or am I thinking of somebody else? Vince was wrapped up in that Mighty Mouse thing for fucking years. Did he wear a mask on Lucha Underground?
Yeah, he was he Prince Puma? Was that him?
Well, whatever he was, he ought to put it back on.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I get the vibe from Rey Mysterio Jr. that he was a wrestler, that he was naturally undersized and had to make up for it by inventing innovative offense. I look at Ricochet and I see him flipping for the sake of doing fucking flips, like almost everybody that's imitating the flips without the reason for the flips. But anyway, Ricochet versus Baron Corbin. Baron von Corbin, as a matter of fact. And within 30 seconds of this match, Ricochet did a backflip in the ring while Baron von Corbin was out on the floor. Did you see? He just decided to just run, flip into the ropes, flip back, do a backflip, land on his feet, do a little bow. And they don't even bother to establish anymore the guys. Corbin is bigger. He's going to muscle the fucking little guy around. So then the little guy pulls out a fancy fucking move or whatever. They just go straight to the flipping. And they went through a break. By the way, also on network TV, the first thing you see at 8 o'clock is Ricochet headed to the ring. Then it's Ricochet versus Corbin. Like that would be a main event in any arena in the country. Then they go to the break 6 minutes into the show in this match, and the break spot was Ricochet doing another backflip off the top turnbuckle to the floor, and he went straight over Corbin's head, and Corbin fell down anyway. And so when they came back from the break, I've zoned out, but Ricochet won the match 1, 2, 3, clean in the middle, with a backflip off the top rope that poor Corbin had to lay there forever for. He was flopping up like a fish. He was like, should I turn over? Should I act like I'm trying to get out of the way? Whatever the fuck. And then finally, boom, 1, 2, 3. So who'd Corbin piss off?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that the transition from Baron Corbin to, what was it? Homeless Corbin? He had a different name for a while, too. King Corbin. He was a king.
He was king, then he was homeless, then he got happy.
I'm pretty sure that screams of Vince McMahon was really into it. So maybe other people aren't.
Well, there you go. On the positive side, the Drew McIntyre package. And they did 2 parts in this. They're pushing him heavy because Clash from the Castle or Clash at the Castle is this weekend. I didn't even know they were coming. I've had to, rent some folding chairs and put up a gazebo in the garden just for all the guests. But they did a package on Drew McIntyre from childhood and telling the story again, his early success, but it was too much too fast. He thought it was going to be easy. And then he got backlash in the WWF, and his mother got sick and passed away, and he got fired for being too immature and not ready to handle it. And that was where we left that package. But at least it makes the guy seem like a real fucking person. They do these packages and these sit-downs and these looks. They got a great production company or production crew there in-house in WWE. It's just the restrictions of creative have been a problem with the guy's original performances. You can do great packages because you can take the best 5 words the guy said out of that shitty material you gave him. But anyway, is it too late for Drew McIntyre? Has he settled in as just one of the guys because of the things they've done with him? First, they were going to push him, then he got beat again, and then blah, 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 and back and forth. What do you think?
I don't think it's too late. He showed fire in that promo we talked about where he talked about being a wrestler who likes to wrestle. People talked about it. It was the most fire we ever saw from him in a promo, or at least in a long time. A lot of people were ready to give up on Roman Reigns a few years ago because of the way he'd been used, because of the way he'd been used, the way he'd been written for, and then things got better. I don't think it's too late for Drew McIntyre.
Is it too late for Karrion Kross now? Or are we just, is everybody just going to, okay, we'll go ahead and forget that false start the last time on Raw with the bondage outfit and no Scarlet and everything? Maybe, because it didn't last that long. He might have a chance. He's got a good voice and a delivery, and I'm not sure that I don't like him better with hair because it's different from. Now, everybody that wants to be looked at as a badass is bald because of Austin, right? Remember, it used to be the fucking worst thing you could do to somebody, a threat. I'm going to shave your head. We're going to have a hair match. And guys would do anything, including wearing wigs and toupees and creams and lotions and potions, not to lose their hair. Now everybody shaves their fucking head on purpose. But, they had him up high in the arena with Scarlett, and he's responding to Drew. There's going to be issues between them. So obviously Kross is already in the plans to be a main event guy. And this is what I'm saying. Even though he's been there before, they're trying to act like it didn't happen. It was a fever dream of Vince's after some Welsh rarebit. So when he comes in now, he's got the girl, he's got the look, they're giving him the chance to talk, and he's talking about a top guy. He's interacting with a main event guy. That's the way the fans tell whether the new guy's a main event guy or not, by who he's interacting with. If he's wrestling competitively against Barry Horowitz, or he's cutting promos on Scotty Too Hottie or whatever, he's a middle card guy. But if he's talking about or interacting with a main event guy, and he's beating middle card guys convincingly, he's a top guy. It's not that fucking hard to figure out. They had a 4-team girls fatal 4-way to replace the injured team in the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament that replaced the first injured team in the Tag Team Championship tournament. And it went 6 minutes. Moving on.
Who won?
I don't know. I don't remember who was in it. I didn't even write it down. No, seriously, they had one team in the tournament, Nikita Lyons and somebody, and they pulled them out because of injury before they actually had the tournament. So they replaced them with another team who won their first round match, and then one of them got injured. So now they had this fatal 4-way to replace the team that replaced the team in the tournament that chased the cat, that ate the rat, that lived in the house that Vince built. And then here came Sheamus and Ridge Holland and their little dog Butch, the Brawling Brutes. Can we do something about this gimmick next? Is this the most ridiculous looking thing between the caps and the outfits like they're a fucking street urchins in a Dickens novel, and the Brawling Brute and Butch? Remember everybody said Pete Dunne was going to be a great fucking top wrestling star. Oh, boy. Apparently, in this situation, the Brawling Brutes are the baby faces because old Sheamus is cutting a promo on Gunther for the Intercontinental title, and he talks for 30 seconds. And then the music hits, and here comes Gunther and Ludwig. And so, again, I guess by process of elimination, Sheamus and Holland and Butch are from the United Kingdom. We have never been in a war with them. but we have been in a war with Germany. So in this case, even though they're heels, the British folks are the baby faces. And I love Gunther, and everybody knows this. And he has energy, but old Seamus talking to Gunther, there was no energy. There was nothing new. It's the same shit they've been doing, the same kind of material. They badly need announcers to be the host of this show, to be in control of the show, to control the pace of the interviews. Because listening to Seamus here is like listening to the color green. Just what there wasn't, it just, they need an announcer, a Jim Ross or somebody to be conducting the interview between some of these people that don't know how to fucking kick it into a higher gear to stir them up. I've done it in Ring of Honor at OVW. Kevin Kelly's done it with a variety of places when he's, been helping out with camps and seminars and etc. You get in there and just the announcer is the host of the show. The announcer is interviewing one talent that's whether it's a baseball player, a basketball player, whatever, some other talent has an issue with something that's said and comes down to confront it. Now the announcer turns into the shit disturber. Well, now Brian just said so-and-so and such. How do you react to that? And that guy reacts. So, well, now, wait a minute, because so-and-so said, and you're the middleman. And you're facilitating the conversation instead of two guys standing there with microphones reciting material at each other. So that's another change they need to make to get back to a wrestling program from whatever it is that they've been doing for the past 20 years. So Gunther was trying hard on the promo, but do you think anybody gives a shit to see the Brawling Brutes at all, or any of the Brawling Brutes wrestle Gunther? I don't think so. Gunther's great. I think Seamus is as stale as a month-old bagel, Brian.
Well, that's a good comparison. If you wanted to put it in better New York terms, Sheamus is like having John Franco on the roster at the end of the 90s. He's been there a long time. We've seen various iterations of him. Nothing personal, but I think he's been there a long time, and maybe he's one of the figures that seems a little more stale to me than others just because I've been seeing him nonstop for over a decade. And if not over a decade, it seems like it.
It seems like. Is it time, what you're saying is it's time for us to miss him as soon as he goes away?
Unless he's going to have a job for life. Did he save the tapes from a burning car? I mean, I don't know.
So finally, this is the first time that I've seen Gunther in an embarrassing segment that I just wish they hadn't done with him, because normally he doesn't get any of this on him. But apparently their brilliant idea was for Gunther and Seamus to stand face to face and have a stare down while there's a fight going on around them, because suddenly as they're doing that, Butch jumps on Ludwig, and they have one of the more ridiculous fake fights I've ever seen, throwing fake punches that aren't landing or even connecting. It's just the meaningless sound and motion thing. And Gunther and Seamus are not even blinking. And then the other stooge gets in it, Holland. And all the three stooges are fighting, and this is going on forever while the stars of this thing don't move and just stare at each other. And it was a ludicrous visual. And then somehow the three stooges, while they're fighting, they get in a position where they have to fucking kind of pull themselves back up to their feet on Gunther and Seamus so that they can hold them back without moving. It was the most ridiculous thing. And that's the last thing you need to do to Gunther, is put him in a phony-looking proposition. Because the one thing that makes him stand apart from everybody else is he looks serious as a heart attack, and when he hits you, you can't see through it, and he seems like a top fucking guy that will not as Luthez would say, brook any of this foolishness. So when you put him in foolishness, you take away the one thing that makes him different than almost everybody else. What'd you think?
I didn't see much of SmackDown, but I've been seeing Gunther on there for the last several weeks. I've seen a little more of him than you because I've watched more SmackDown of late. Just so happened you decided to do a full review of the 1 week I didn't watch the whole show.
Well, you've had shit going on.
A bit, yeah. I think the problem is, look, if someone's stale and you put someone with them, makes them stale too, unless, they're Ric Flair at his prime. I don't want to see Gunther mixing with Sheamus. I want to see Gunther mixing with someone else who's fresh. As soon as you put him with Sheamus, it drags him down. And again, it's nothing personal. The guy's been there for 10 years or something. I'm not into the whole Butch thing other than it's funny every now and then. If Russo was being paid to consult USA Network for Raw, who can we blame for Fox's SmackDown?
Well, I think we just have to blame the company because Fox is probably smart enough not to hire, fucking random goofs that send them begging emails. There was one preposterous thing or a part of this program that I actually did like because the people involved, Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, are the highlight of this program. And it was a preposterous conversation that they had with stupid material, but they do it so well. And it's almost like, shit, this could actually be good if they had talented actors doing this shit, or if they just decided to wrestle or write for wrestlers, one or the other. But the Jey Uso doesn't like Sami, and they're pissed at each other. And Roman appreciates Sami for last week interjecting himself and taking a Claymore kick. And tonight he needs a favor. He needs Drew McIntyre distracted. Yes, sir. Boom. Then the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament continued with Sonya and Natalya against Ilya and Raquel Gonzalez Rodriguez de la Garcia Jones. And that match happened. And then did you see anything of the bus incident?
I have no idea what you're even talking about. No.
Okay, well, the Duprees, poor LA Knight Eli Drake, and his sister and Mansway and Mansoor were in the back of the arena doing a photo shoot, and they see and hear a bus, like a tour bus, with flashing lights and playing Hit Rose music. And they thought, well, this is a distraction. We're pissed at this bus. Dramatic foreshadowing. Now we go to the ring. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods in the ring doing an interview. And Xavier was in a wheelchair. And by the way, no, folks, he ain't really hurt. And nobody believed he was really hurt. This is a setup. But as Bobby Eaton would say, if Bobby Eaton saw someone, if there was a wheelchair sitting around the back of the arena or in some breezeway or in anywhere you were, and somebody sat in that wheelchair, Bobby Eaton would fucking turn white. And he was, you're burning the bread on yourself. Because fuck around, pretty soon you won't be around. Sit in a wheelchair when you don't need to. You are tempting fate. Something bad's going to happen to you. Well, in this case, what bad happened to all of us was we had to watch this interview. They were in normal street clothes and they were low key and they were talking about underestimating the Viking Warriors and last week and they got their asses kicked. And even worse than that, the Vikings burned boxes of Bootios and our unicorn horns in that phony-looking Viking ritual that we talked about last week that was phony because of the Viking warriors or raiders or whoever they are. They're trying to make them look more adult and kind of more cool, but they speak like they've memorized this shit that they've worked out rather than they're real people. So they can't do the promo. But the New Day is here is teasing that their team is done. And then, of course, here come the Viking Raiders, and they do the same thing. They recite memorized lines that are fake and bad acting because apparently these guys are not actors. So don't make them act and put them in a position where they have to do shit like that. But they come out to the ring and menace the New Day and then turn their back on Xavier Woods because he's in a wheelchair and start to menace Kofi. And then Woods stands up out of the wheelchair with 2 kendo sticks that he comes out from under his blanket. And it wasn't in an exciting way. It was he stood up, took the blanket off, and then tried to pitch Kofi a kendo stick, and Kofi fumbled it. But they grabbed it and they wore the Raiders out with the kendo sticks. And then the Raiders leave. And bad taste with the wheelchair and bad acting on everybody else's part. Did you see any of this?
No, because even if I had time, I would not watch a Viking Raiders segment. I hate the New Day. The New Day are my least favorite WWE wrestling combo. For years, I've not liked them.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, let's get into the main event. But right before the main event, remember I talked to you about the bus incident.
Right. I still don't know what happened.
Well, the Dupree folks, the Maximum Male models, were disrupted by the bus being loud and flashy, and then Los Lotharios, Jose and El Gran, they come in and say, well, we'll take care of this problem for you. And they had cans of spray paint. And so when we come back later on, we see that the Lotharios this was the most neat vandalization I've ever seen. They wrote "Hit Row Sucks" in big, neat block letters with black spray paint across the side of the bus. But it wasn't exactly vandalized. But Hit Row walks into the fucking screen and says, hey, good job, but guess what? That's not our bus. What? Then they walk off, and the door of the bus opens, and the Street Profits get out, and they look at their bus, and they go, what the fuck? And then the heels go, aw, shucks. And then everybody just walked away. That was the end of it. Everybody just walked away.
And I guess the big point is everyone has a bus, apparently.
Everybody's got a bus. So now it's time for the main event. After they did the second half of the Drew package that we talked about earlier, it made him look like more of a star. But then Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. And I enjoyed this until the sports entertainment angle at the end. Because Zayn knows what he's doing, and he can work, and Drew McIntyre bumped him around like a ping pong ball. This was a top guy versus Weasley middle heel match that worked just fine. And they worked it that way. And Zayn would take over. Like one time he took over, he kicked the middle rope into McIntyre's nuts. And the other time McIntyre was going to take him with a superplex or whatever, and he got a sunset powerbomb off the top. But he got heat without it being illogical that this rail-thin, Weasley middle card heel is going to be dominating physically the guy that's in the main event at the pay-per-view this weekend. Finally, McIntyre makes a big comeback, and he's ready for the Claymore kick, and the Usos distract him, and Zayn gets a 2 count, and then that doesn't work, and they just kind of stood around for a second, and then McIntyre levels Sami Zayn, levels both the Usos, hits the kick on Sami, 1, 2, 3. So it's like, I guess who's going to take one first is where they were standing around. As soon as he gets the win, here comes Roman. And he hits the ring and he starts beating the shit out of McIntyre. But then McIntyre posts Roman and turns around and beats up the Usos some more. Turns back around and Roman Reigns spears Drew McIntyre. And at that point, the Usos go out and get chairs, and they come back in, and they start wearing McIntyre out with the chairs. And now here's the problem. Now they've gone from a decent match And they've got the big stars in the ring, and they're doing an angle for the pay-per-view this Sunday. And it goes straight into fucking sports fucking entertainment. They wear Drew McIntyre out with chairs. And they're kicking the shit out of him 3-on-1, 4-on-1. Nobody's trying to stop it. No bell is ringing. No referees getting involved. No security being physical. No baby faces. Does Drew McIntyre not have a goddamn friend in the world? Is he the biggest uncircumcised prick that could ever live? That nobody from that locker room would come out to try to help him. It went on forever. They took their time. I've mentioned criminals committing a crime in broad daylight. Taking their time is not a visual that resonates with most people. There should be a sense of urgency. Get it done while we can. Somebody's going to try to stop us. But no, they knew nobody was going to try to stop them because it was fucking phony. It's being allowed by the promotion. And that's why it's disgusting heat. One of the first things I learned when I got into wrestling business, there's cheap heat, there's real heat, there's disgusting heat. And this was disgusting heat because now the heels, they beat him over and over with chairs. They run him into the desk. They picked up the stairs, hit him with the stairs. They roll him in the ring. Roman Reigns chokes him out with a rear naked choke. Then gets a chair and sets it up and sits on top of him. This wasn't heat. This was too much. This was not real. It was disgusting heat, termed that because the people don't get mad and want to buy a ticket to see somebody get even. They get disgusted. Because why is nobody trying to stop this? The first thing that anybody would logically think is, why is nobody trying to help him? Why is nobody trying to stop this? Where are his friends? Where are the other baby faces? Why is nobody ringing a bell? Why are the referees not coming out? Why is security? What the fuck? The answer is because the promotion is allowing this, because it's all set up, and therefore it's disgusting heat because it doesn't get the proper reaction from people. I want to pay to see somebody get even. It just disgusts them. And that's sports entertainment. So they continue to try to make small changes, but they can't do a goddamn show closing Mid-South Wrestling, heels playing King of the Hill. Everybody's trying to stop something. People are standing and screaming to the point where somebody's going to jump over the rail and try to do something themselves. They can't do that. They can just do this goddamn caca. So they got a ways to go.
Well, that goddamn caca was Smackdown for the 26th.